Hi guys, welcome to my review for X-Men Apocalypse.
Some call him Apocalypse. He was some kind of god. For thousands of years, he's been amassing mutants to take their powers. He always had 4 followers.
Like the 4 horsemen.
Eric, don't join them.
Whatever it is you think you saw in me, I buried it with my family.
Alright guys, I just came out of seeing X-Men Apocalypse and my first impressions was, that was a pretty good bloody movie, man. I really enjoyed it for the most part. Especially for the first probably half the movie, probably about halfway through the second act. It sort of lost its way a bit. But up to that point, I was really invested in the characters and I really sensed that they were nailing the X-Men. We've had a really good run over the last few years since First Class with the X-Men movies and followed up by Days of Future Past with this really great cast of characters, especially from James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender playing your Magneto and Professor Xavier, and they just shine in this film. They are just tremendous actors, and they always bring the performance, they always bring the A game, they never phone it in, and I was super impressed. And this movie is quite heavy at times, and it really brought not just their acting prowess and everything, just shine through everything. And some really good support cast members around here too, introducing new characters that we've seen before, but introducing them again in a different way. They're a bit younger, so Eugene Grey, your Scott Summers, which is probably the first time we've actually seen Scott Summers been used correctly. They used them really well. They really introduced these new characters well, as well as introducing like Nightcrawler, Angel, Storm. I thought they were really good, and especially this first 5-10 minutes of the film, I think is a knockout start to the movie. It's really introducing you to the world which Apocalypse is from, and it really gives you a really solid grounding for the start of the film, and it just builds on from there until about halfway through, again like I said, and then it just sort of wavers a bit. It becomes a little bit stock standard in the story, not quite original, but in saying that, as it goes along, you get more moments, really good moments from good acting moments during the film. They also try to push Mystique, Jennifer Lawrence's character, in the forefront a bit too much. It's going to sound bad, but she doesn't seem as present as the rest of the cast. You can see the acting, you can see the emotion in the face of McAvoy and Fassbender. You see it in their eyes. They're invested. Jennifer Lawrence, blank face the whole time. You didn't see it in her eyes. Even when she's acting against Nicholas Hoult, you could see him. He was really, you could see he was invested. He was the character. He disappeared in the character. She was just blank like this. So she obviously was contracted to be in this film, and she's obviously gone and done it. But I don't think she was there present. She wasn't there really. But you look at most of the rest of the cast. They were all involved. They were all good. I really enjoyed the present. Again, I can't say enough about McAvoy and Fassbender. Just some of the stuff, and also there's some stuff in this movie that broke my heart. Really did, some of us, and just some of the pure emotion. They were the best parts of this film. Really, the one-on-one scenes, the real good character moments, they are what shines in this film, and it really brings out a sense of tension, loss, all those emotions. The stuff that really falls it down is the big bombastic action stuff. It's not that it's not shot well or it's not well presented. It just seems like it's too much for this film. It just feels like it should be a character piece. It should be a study of these characters. It should be more like the comics. Even though comics do go into bombastic sort of situations, and especially with a title character like Apocalypse, you nearly have to do it because just because of the sheer normal sort of situations that character can put you into. But I think they could have played it a bit smaller. If they played it a bit smaller, I think it might have connected more for the last half of the movie. Because whenever they did have closer, more intimate moments during those scenes, it really worked. And the stuff that just didn't work was the big bombastic stuff. So if they had toned that down, I think they could have had a bit of something special and a bit of a home run here. But it just sported a little bit. The action we had some really good action scenes in the very start of Days of Future Past. And I thought that was really great and how that really worked. Where in this film it didn't quite work. Something else that worked really well in Days of Future Past was Quicksilver. And they just amp it up for this movie. They use them in some really great ways, and using similar techniques they did in that movie, just to emphasize his speed and agility and all that sort of stuff. And there's the scene in this film is, I just say, poor old X-Mansion. It always happens every movie. What happens to this poor old mansion, but that scene is just great. Arrival. I don't think it's quite as good as the one in Days of Future Past, but I think it's a really good successor to it. And actually, Evan Peters, I've followed him for quite a while, and he's actually really good in this movie too. Because during the film, he actually really gets some meat as well. Not just he was in the Days of Future Past, he was really just a side character, and we didn't really delve too deeply into him. But we saw a little bit more there, and going forward, it's obviously going to be a bit more. It's been set up to explore it some more, and that's how it sort of ended. It sort of ended with us looking towards the future, and really, I came out of it wanting to see the next X-Men movie, which is a really positive thing to come out of it. And with this new cast, this new Jean Grey, this new Scott Summers, new Nightcrawler, all these sort of characters in Storm, all coming together. It really, I think, next movie they could really do something really great. They hinted towards some storylines in this movie, which they could explore, or they may not. They might leave it to later on. But some really good stuff here. Does let it down a little bit. Apocalypse as a character, I thought was really good in the start of the film, but it lost its way again, like later on, and like this sort of characters, they're sort of overly powered, and they get to a point where they actually have to depower them a bit, but then it sort of loses its logic in the storytelling because they should be able to do more because they've already shown you they can do more things. So that sort of lost me a little bit when certain scenes is like, well, you're showing us like 10 minutes ago them doing all this fantastic stuff, but now suddenly you can't do it, or you have no will to do it. So that sort of thing was probably let him down. But I thought Oscar Isaacs was fine in the character under all the makeup. It's not the easiest character to play in this type of film. And it's really the first time in probably the X-Men movies they've really gone for this sort of character who's all-powerful, who essentially thinks he's a god. You know, that was the whole sort of plot. He despises what the human race has become, how it has created weapons and technology just to kill, when he sees himself as the ultimate ruler, and he can sort of sort that stuff out with no problems. But yeah, always with these movies, you're going to find things to nitpick about, and it's a little bit more of a nitpick in the situation. They didn't quite get it right. It'd be interesting to see what they'll do in the future, but and what villains they're going to use. But I still really think you could bring it down and make the story a lot smaller. Don't have to worry so much about this bombastic stuff. And then the other thing is probably which pulls you out of the movie a little bit, if it's from the trailers, so it's not a spoiler, is the whole Weapon X stuff. It does feel a little bit shoved in there, and you don't really need it. You could probably edit it out and change a couple of things, and it would probably work fine. But in saying that, it's really some good fan service going on there too. So my final thoughts on X-Men Apocalypse. Really solid film. For the most part, I thought it was really good, if not great, for the first half. Some really great introductions to some new/old characters, as well as some really great emotional and great character moments from our leads, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. Some really good stuff in there. Really, probably the heart of the film in some ways, and more stuff. I want to see more of that sort of stuff going forward. All right, guys. I really think you should probably go check this out. Again, a lot of these comic book style movies out there at the moment, I still rate probably Civil War as probably the top one to go see, but next on the list would be X-Men Apocalypse. Alright guys, that's my quick review, and I will catch you later. Thanks. Cheers.